This is SGTV Weekly News with Spencer Buckler.
Coming up tonight, mental health has been on a lot of minds during the coronavirus pandemic, how you can build resilience right at home. The university has announced an accelerated fall schedule, what it means for fall break and finals. And a brand new podcast from Garnet Media Group to help get your week off to a head start. But first, August's postponed graduation has been canceled. That and a lot more news from the university in the past few days. News 4's Lydia Blackstone is down in South Carolina. And Lydia, tell me a little bit about the university's decision to cancel graduation this August.
President Caslin announced yesterday, that graduation will be canceled and be moving to a virtual online graduation. President Caslin said this announcement saddened him, but he does plan to honor those graduates in the fashion that they do deserve. But the dates that those will be taking place will be announced soon.
And that actually wasn't the only news that the university put out yesterday. They also said that some employees were going to be taking pay cuts. Is that right?
Yes, so the employees that will be taking these pay cuts are not involuntarily having to take these decreases on their salary. This is actually something that these top-ranking officials at University of South Carolina have chosen to do. They have chosen to take 10% off of their usual paychecks, and this will be coming in to aid the university in where they have lost a lot of money due to coronavirus. And this is said to add up to about 1.2 million in the next coming fiscal year. Yes, and these do include Will Muschamp, President Bob Caslin, Don Staley, and many other top-ranking cabinet officials.
Some big names there. The university also announced an accelerated fall semester. A lot of news going on. Tell me a little bit about that one and what that's going to look like for students.
Yes, so Spencer, what will happen is we will resume courses this fall during August 20th, mid-August. We'll start those classes and we'll be in school until about the end of November. And then those dates that we would normally have for Thanksgiving break, we'll still be in classes for those. And after that, we will leave for Thanksgiving break and we will not return. This making our end of course exams, those will all be online. And so will the last 2 weeks of class. This is to prevent the students from spreading out to their hometowns and coming back, possibly have been in contact with somebody and then coming back and congregating, and then just the number of cases rising on campus.
So it's normal Thanksgiving break and then we just don't return afterwards, right?
Yes, that's right, Spencer.
Well, thanks, Lydia. Thanks for breaking down all that information coming down from the University of South Carolina. It's great to see you. Haven't seen you in so long.
It's great to see you. I know. It's great to see you, even though it's virtually. Too bad this can't be in person, but I'm looking forward to this fall. Hopefully we will be able to be in person a little bit.
I know. We just got to be smart and safe, and we'll be back together soon enough. Thanks, Lydia. And all that, as students are moving out of their on-campus dorms, students had the option to either move out during a designated time slot, or they could have their belongings packed up for them. Then students could have had their things shipped or stored in Columbia. But some students worry about the condition their items will be in.
I've heard some stories of people who did the pack and ship option who have gotten their stuff with just basically all their stuff was thrown into boxes and shipped to them.
For all move-out options, students must register online. As the coronavirus pandemic continues to change our way of life, mental health is something that has been on a lot of minds. Assistant Professor of Psychology Sayward Harrison joins me now. And I read online that one thing you say is very important during these times is resilience. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So much of my research is actually focused on building resilience among people who are living with HIV or who are impacted by HIV, either through infection of a family member, a caregiver, or another person who they're close to. So when COVID-19 started, this really hit close to home, both in the sense that all of us are experiencing this on a very personal basis, but also because there's so many overlaps with the research that I do at USC. So when we talk about building resilience, the word resilience, it's an ancient word. It's been around for centuries and centuries. And at the root of it, it means to really adapt and respond when we're confronted with adversity. So we think about resilience as being a process. And it's been interesting in terms of research. When scientists initially started studying resilience, they really looked at the individual only. So they were interested in who did better when there was a really great challenge that they were faced with. So they explored things like intelligence or temperament or personality to try to figure out who was able to cope better with adversity. Well, now we've come so far in our understanding of building resilience, and we understand that resilience involves strengthening ourselves as individuals, learning good coping skills, good communication skills, good relationship skills. But resilience also really involves being able to develop strong social support systems, positive relationships with others, positive caregiving, being able to be in relationships that are nurturing and that really can help you when we all experience those challenges. So now we know about the individual level, we know about the interpersonal level, and now we're really starting to look at the systems level. So why is it that people in some societies will do better than others? What is it about the way that those societies are structured, the systems that we live in, that can either help us respond or make it more difficult for us to respond when there's a challenge?
So what are some ways that people can build resilience and take care of their mental health while they're at home?
Yeah, so I think first I'll start maybe a little bit at the individual level with coping skills. So the field of psychology has given us a really great toolbox full of skills that we can use to help us when we're coping with something that's challenging like COVID-19. So right now, I think more than ever, there are tools that are easy for us to access to because of the internet, because of apps on our phone. But I would just mention a couple of those. So we know that things like relaxation training, learning how to really tune in to how you're feeling, and when you begin to get stressed and get anxious, engage in relaxation training, engage in deep breathing, meditation, mindfulness techniques. These are all tools that are really pretty simple, and people can practice them and get better at them over time. And they can help us to sleep better at night, to have a better and improved mood throughout the day. And I think they're really useful right now. So that's the first areas I would think about, some of the coping skills that have been really tried and tested in the field of psychology. But then second, I would also emphasize the importance of positive social relationships right now. So figuring out ways to socially connect with others. So we've experienced like lots of widespread traumas and challenges we can think about, although our students, many are too young to remember, were not even born, but during 9/11, it was a national trauma and crisis that the country went through together. What's a bit different right now about what we're experiencing is that COVID-19 requires us to socially distance, at least for now, to keep maintaining and reducing, those reduced social networks so that we can stay safe and we can protect other people. So the challenge for us is to figure out how to socially connect, but do it safely. So obviously we're doing Zoom calls, maybe even old-fashioned telephone calls. I've written to my grandparents letters, which I hadn't done for many, many years. But figuring out ways to build in those opportunities for social connection at a time when we have to be more physically distanced than we have before. I would say too, as we think about our classes going forward, our workplaces going forward, that we recognize that our social interactions and relationships there are really important for our mental health. And, so all of us have a role to play in figuring out how to create more opportunities, but do it in a safe way.
Well, those are all some tips that we'll take with us. Sayward, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
And we here at Garnet Media Group always aim to keep you up to date on what's happening around campus. And now there's a brand new way to get caught up. News 4's Ward Jollis joins me now. And Ward, you and Aaron Slowey are starting a podcast. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the podcast is called Head Start. It is going to be released at the beginning of every week on Mondays. This podcast is kind of taking some big news topics that you see in the news every single day, and then it's hyper-localizing it to the Columbia community and telling those stories through the local lens.
So what are some things that you guys might cover?
Yeah, so it's still kind of in the works right now. Our first episode is supposed to come out this coming Monday. But some things we're talking about is, for example, how coronavirus is affecting local businesses, how specific departments at USC are, adapting to these unexpected changes, kind of like more like nursing and the theater department, and a lot of departments that rely on a lot of face-to-face interaction in order to operate. Also talking about a lot of administrative things too. So we've been in contact with Jeff Stensland a little bit, Aaron has been in contact with Jeff Stensland a little bit regarding some of the administrative decisions that the university has come out with. And so really what this podcast is all about is taking big topics like coronavirus's impacts on schools, local businesses, things like that, and then looking at it through the USC and Columbia lens.
And Erin is great. Why do you think she'd be the right fit for your co-host?
Well, Erin is the editor-in-chief of the Daily Gamecock, and I'm currently news director at SGTV and WUSC, so we're kind of a well-rounded representation of a lot of Garnet Media Group. And so we wanted to continue programming. Erin is a very talented reporter. She's very knowledgeable about a lot of things that are happening on campus over the summer. And so we wanted to make sure that we had, a well-rounded kind of skill set. I'm more of the broadcast side. She's more of the print side. And we also really wanted to represent as much of Garnet Media Group as possible.
Well, we are very excited to listen to it. You can listen to it anywhere you find podcasts, as well as garnetmedia.org. Ward, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that does it for Weekly News. I'll be anchoring here from Baltimore for the next few months. From all of us at SGTV, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.